Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Wednesday, April 5th, 2023. Let's just check the weather real quick. Spring is in the air. I saw a post from Real Boston Media earlier talking about it's going to be 70 and 80 degrees next week. Hopefully, it won't be too warm the week after that. We are here today. We're going to talk with Mayor Wu, as we do for We Need to Know Wednesdays. I'm just waiting for, the internet. It's 44 degrees right now. Today's high is 44, and the lowest will be later on about 42 degrees. So it's about 44 degrees today, kind of gloomy and cloudy out. But it is Wednesday, the first Wednesday. And as you know, we've moved the mayor back to first Wednesdays as much as she can for her monthly appearance. But this week, or this month rather, we have a special guest. He is not sort of new. I believe last fall, he became the CEO of the Boston Athletic Association. And so, Jimmy, what does that have to do with We Need to Know Wednesday? Well, in a couple of weeks, we will have, and he'll tell me, and I should know this, the blank Boston Marathon. And so Jack and the mayor are both here. I'm going to bring them both in. Jack has a lot to do, so he's going to join us for a few minutes, and the mayor's going to continue. I've got to see her the last couple of days, and we'll talk about that as well, some things from yesterday. But I would like to introduce to some and present to others Mayor Michelle Wu, who you all know, and also Jack Fleming as well. So good morning to both of you. Mayor, of course, with us two testosterone carriers up here, we'll have you say good morning first, and then Jack.
Good morning. It's great to see you. I'm on the last leg of the commute in, so I will be relocating very soon. But
well, just let me know, because we can highlight Jack while you're transitioning, and we'll be good. Jack, go ahead and greet the audience as well.
Absolutely. So happy to be here. And one thing, I'm not sure that anybody in the city is busier than Mayor Wu. So thank you for all you are doing, Mayor Wu.
Absolutely. I know the mayor is in commute, so I know the mute thing and whatnot. But Jack, tell us a little bit about yourself. You've been with BAA for a while and have ascended to this position, so you know the organization. Tell us about your journey and path there, and then we'll check in with you and the mayor about One Boston Day and then go from there.
Sure, thanks. While I am in my current position, relatively short period of time, only a few months, I have been with the organization that is best known for putting on the Boston Marathon, the Boston Athletic Association, for 32 years. And, like a lot of folks out there, I feel like I'm a runner at heart, and appreciate movement and activity and trying to live a healthy lifestyle. But not a particularly unique path, Jimmy. Have just taken from the bottom up, though, through the organization.
Started from the bottom. Now we're here.
We started off at the bottom. Yeah, we did.
I like that. Mayor, Jack referenced to him being a runner. We know that you bike, and I asked Jack at some point, we can just for a couple of seconds, we talk about mental health and health. Mayor, how running versus biking, how does that help you?
Well, I in some ways think of myself, well, maybe I'll say walker, like
okay,
ambitious walker for now. But in the past, I have run here and there and always aspire to get back into it. There's something really freeing and liberating about being able to just be out in the world, not confined in a little metal glass box, whether it's a car or a train or a bus, and to be able to just make your way whatever direction you feel like, and also be interacting with the outside world at the same time. So, at the speed of walking or running, you're kind of experiencing a certain kind of pace at which the world is going by. When you're on a bike, it goes a little bit faster. And so, you can kind of, if there's an element of needing to get somewhere in a hurry, you can also do that, I think, a little bit with less of a need for showering and completely changing your outfit at the end. But they're for two different purposes. And, I think sometimes it can feel, biking like running can sound really daunting to folks, right? You need to be so trained or ready or this or that. But it's, I hope that in Boston we can make both of these and many other pursuits that are for recreation and health, not just the most professional version of it, but really accessible to everyone. There are some amazing local running groups. Shout out to Thaddeus. Shout out to Trailblazers and many of the other groups that were started during the pandemic, who were specifically connecting to people who might not be running in the Boston Marathon professionally, but who could take a deal of enjoyment and benefit from it. And similarly, there's a lot of organizations and groups on the cycling side that really have helped me find confidence and comfort in knowing how to bike around in a city as an adult, something that I hadn't really done since I was really little. And so there's lots of people who are eager in Boston to help if you're interested in getting into or sort of reacquainting yourself with either of these endeavors, to plug in and support.
Absolutely. And one of the things that both of you I wanted to ask about, you both mentioned a pandemic. And Jack, can you just tell us what year is this? Please forgive me for
This is the 127th Boston
the
Marathon.
127th running of the Boston Marathon. And so with that 127th anniversary, there's also the 10th anniversary of a very tragic day in this city. And I believe with that and us sort of highlighting and naming that 10th, and the anniversary is a interesting word, but the 10th commemoration of that tragedy of the Boston Marathon bombing. And in that there's been, and I don't know if you recall, there was some sentiment between, one Boston Day is coming on the 15th, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But I've heard some sentiment about whether there's really one Boston or two Bostons, basically to keep it simple in sort of the haves and have-nots, equity and things like that. And so, Jack, I'll ask you first, if you could just speak to your response to that sentiment and how VA and your vision as being new there and knowing the organization addresses that and its intentionality to dismantle that sentiment of two Bostons.
Yeah. Thank you for, it's a great question. And as I was thinking, as you were speaking, I almost feel like the one Boston sentiment is aspirational, right? Because we do, in fact, have a long way to go, and there should be additional pathways, not just into the Boston Marathon. Boston Marathon is so long. I'm looking at the screen behind me, but let's start with movement. Let's start with pathways into a healthy lifestyle, more collaborations, partnerships. We have a great one as a model with the Dimmick Center called the Road to Wellness 5K. Mayor Wu just mentioned Thaddeus Miles, who's a force in that immediate neighborhood, and has really helped us to become a better partner for in that hyper local community. That's a fantastic concept for us to do more on. In just I think next week we will be announcing a set or series of grants that are going to be supportive of.
Did y'all see Jack smile? Did you see him smile?
Yeah. So partnerships, collaborations, grants, other kinds of support, listening, of course, starting small, creating pathways. I mean, this is these are some of the things, Jimmy, that I feel the BAA is starting to change and wants to change more about, even as we are on the cusp of organizing this other thing, this Boston Marathon. And we want that also to be a source of tremendous pride for everyone. And we have more work to do on that too.
Absolutely. I know you have to go, and it's funny because we're going to highlight it. Is that Charlene behind you, Mayor? We're going to highlight one of those. We're going to highlight one of those demonstrations tomorrow, actually, with Rochelle and Suzanne, who are part of Black Girls Run. And so that they'll be here tomorrow to sort of demonstrate a demonstration of that commitment to community. And so, Jack, I wish we had more time with you. We see the mayor's transitioning, but I look forward to talking with you more, and thank Lorna and the team for making that happen. And I'll be around the area on the 15th. And we can't forget about the Black Unicorn event that's taking place on the 15th. Are you able to stop through there?
I will be there closer to the 4 to 5 o'clock hour.
Okay. I look forward to meeting you there, Jack. And thank you so much for being with us this morning. And thank you for being real about what you said. And I say this often, Boston is changing. And not that we have room to still grow, I would say a canyon to some extent. But thank you for naming that, sir. And Michelle, who's a runner, is in the room as well. I don't know if you know her, but you'll get to meet her on the 15th. But Jack, thank you so much. And Lorna and your team as well. And I look forward to meeting you next Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Bye. As you all know, our mayor is transitioning. So I will go in and just sort of highlight our guest tomorrow, who is sort of this entity is a demonstration of the investment that BAA makes into the community. And so Rochelle Solomon, who is a Java Cafe member who is in Austin, she's a member and co-founder of Black Girls Run and some other entities that support health and running in Black and brown communities. Jack mentioned the mayor, Thaddeus as well. From 5K Road to Wellness that he's been doing for some years and adapted in the pandemic. And so we talk about health and being active often. I'm getting there, just like Boston is changing, so am I. And we have our mayor back, and so we're going to continue our conversation with her. Mayor, I just want to say thank you for the flexibility, because you're running around and coming in and talking and things like that. But thank you so much. I'm glad to see you settled. I asked Jack about, the sentiment of One Boston Day. And if you remember some years ago when that magazine cover came out about One Boston, there was some sentiment in the communities about whether it's one Boston, still two Bostons. Jack responded. What is your response sort of to that, or the sentiment for a lot of people?
Well, 2013 was my very first campaign. Yep. And so my office was in the South End then, where I was living. And so we were pretty close to what was happening as well. And was a little bit in the middle of it. And I remember very vividly being in kind of the space where just the year before I had been in charge of running the South End office for the kind of South End, Lower Roxbury office for Senator Warren's campaign, which was right on the side of Mass Ave, right? And the feeling of watching everything unfold, remembering Jamal Crawford's push at that point, where we saw such a mobilization so quickly around public safety. There was one part of the city concerned, and obviously a horrific attack that deserved every bit of mobilization and attention, but also a reminder that there were lives being taken through violence in other neighborhoods in the city that were not getting as much attention and mobilization around public safety and community outpouring of support and funding and all of that. And so it was such a stark juxtaposition that I think we continue to talk about that, even yesterday as we were sort of sharing a bit of Boston's participation in a violence reduction workshop coordinated by some experts who have come in from, who are sharing their insights from across the country and best practices from other cities. What does it mean to map that onto Boston's homegrown expertise, which has the answers and knows best? But also, what does it mean for the media and others to understand how public safety and violence is even affecting the city in different ways, right? From a high level, some people say we are the safest major city in the country, right? Our numbers, even when you scale them down per capita by population, are way low. Yesterday we heard in the room that, hold on, I wrote this down. 1 second.
Y'all know the mayor when it comes to stats. And while she's getting those, I just wanted to, and I'll talk about it a little bit more. We got to get some details out about the healing tour. We'll talk more about that. But Mayor, if I could just say, and it's so interesting, we're very transparent and real. You tagged me in yesterday's post, and some of these responses are interesting. And it's when you, and I've heard this from people outside of the city, Mayor, that like when you travel to other cities, people are like, hey, your numbers are very interesting. So that is so reality, and so it's not down.
But it's kind of a two Bostons theme there, where, so yesterday we shared with the data from all around the country, Boston has had in the last several years an average of about 6 per 100,000 of our population homicides annually. Baltimore, per 100,000, they've had 50. Philadelphia's at 30. And so that's the scale. Again, they're much larger cities. And so you always see, of course they have higher numbers. But even when you scale it down to the same kind of counting, we are much, much lower. But when you look at where this is concentrated within the city, it is the same small number of blocks, roads. Okay, so for example, the numbers were something like 5% of the street segments in Boston account for are where 75% of the shootings take place, not homicides, but shootings in general, because that in and of itself is traumatic for our residents. So you think about 5% of the geographic kind of street areas representing 75% of a certain category of trauma. And that is clearly where we should be directing our resources and community mobilization. So that's part of why we were pushing to take on participation in this cohort. Is, again, we know what to do here, but it's sometimes helpful to ground us in how to target, how to focus, and how to have accountability in working together.
And I think one of the things that came out yesterday, and I had missed the opening, so thank you for reiterating that, was you were very honest, and I've been a part of them, that we unfortunately have not had the best bang for the buck when it comes to this work because we operate in silos, history, personalities. And you mentioned that some of the intentionality, and you allowed it to happen, is to allow a period of stripping and to build back up. And I think yesterday did allow organic, real response mixed with the data and whatnot. But there was language of accountability, and then there was language of reality. And so, even in that, Mayor, if I could ask you, kind of related, but not related. But again, when I seen some of the responses that you get, I'm like, this is interesting. How would you prefer or direct those that sometimes are aggressive in the advocacy, as I have been, to aim to interact, to make their suggestions and whatnot? Like, my perception is there's to some extent an open door, reaching out or whatever. Like, if you had a chance to talk directly to those that are always, what would you say?
I actually think there's different I think of it in maybe a different framing than, okay, so it's tempting to say, oh, I'm not going to listen to people who are, being a certain level of hostility or aggressiveness or whatever you want to call it, like heat of emotion, let's say. But I actually think that's the wrong criteria, because when it is so personal, when you live on that 5% of streets, how can it not be so emotional for you, right? How can it not be that after years and years and years of having the same conversation, you're just fed up and want to be done with it, much less talking again in a new administration about this. So, but there are category, if you look at the comments, for example, the categories that I want to think about is someone coming to this in good faith, right? Regardless of how upset they are, regardless of how frustrated they are they really trying to do the work and be part of this? Because there are a whole lot of people, one, I don't even know if we're talking about this universe, but there's a whole lot of people from Florida and like other parts of the country that jump in on some of this stuff whenever there's a chance to push a narrative that all cities are crime infested, Democrat, this or that or the other, because of a kind of national breakdown in trust and in our politics that is infecting a lot of the local conversations as well. But there's also folks who, even locally, are kind of poking and this and that, but aren't really interested in doing the work. And in fact, want to see the community, and they're usually not part of this community, not succeed at this, because then it gives it, again, a political agenda. So bring on the emotion, right? Come as you are, and let me try to meet you where you are. But let's talk about what to do, right? If you want to say, this is wrong, this is not working, like, come with a couple suggestions to offer. They don't have to be perfectly thought out. They don't have to be, I'm not saying the burden's on you instead of on city government. It definitely is on the public sector that's why I try to do whatever I can to spark conversation. I like to throw ideas out there. I like to say, why aren't we, let's get in a room this way or that way. And hopefully the best ideas will then kind of get shaken loose in that process of challenging each other and collaborating. And get to know our team. We have an incredible group of people working on this, and we're all doing so, trying to hold ourselves accountable to working in a coordinated way. So Isaac, Dr. Yablo, our Senior Advisor for Community Safety, hand in hand with the Public Health Commission and all their violence intervention and prevention efforts, hand in hand with BPD and their enforcement and violence prevention efforts, hand in hand with the Boston Public Schools and their outreach and family supports efforts. So everyone was in the room yesterday and will continue to be for the next several days. I'm diving back in right after this.
I'm trying to see if I can stop in later as well. Ramilda called me this morning. She was like, "Are you stopping in?" And so, Mayor, I wanted to ask you that because it just is, as a human, it is just interesting to, and I have employed and come and been passionate and emotional as well.
But always interested in doing the work.
Right? In the work and the suggestions. And that's how we've gotten to the point of, the healing tour. And we can talk more about that later. But I just really wanted to allow you that opportunity to just sort of put out there. And thank you for naming it, just because now this is James saying it's not the mayor. What the mayor said about, coming with emotion and whatnot, she'll still listen. But some of y'all are just, and thank you for naming the fact that folks, some of the folks making a lot of noise don't even live in this community. And it's because it switched from vaccinations and masking and whatnot now to, with all due respect, they jumped on the horrific tragedy that happened in Mattapan. And so I wanted to just
and that's people's real lives, right? Several people made that point yesterday lifting up what Thaddeus is saying in the comments about how Congresswoman Presley said this yesterday when she was in the room too. We have to create space to heal the healers as well, right? For people at the front lines of doing this work, it is such a traumatizing experience. And even in this several days long workshop that we have, you feel the need for having space. And that's something I think we could have done better and will need to do. And where the healing tour comes in is to have the ability to engage, but then also when you need it, recognize the signs of when you are experiencing that trauma and have a space also for that to be centered, and then be able to incorporate both at the same time.
Mary, you're getting a little bit ahead because we want but that is part of the model, that we know that in these meetings, it happened yesterday for those of us that are providers and whatnot. And actually the space included the ability for folks to step out, drink water, shed tears a little bit too, as I did yesterday. And so, Mayor, I know your time is short, and this was kind of jumped together because Phyllis and Jessica got us back on schedule the first Wednesdays where it works. But I just want to thank you again for coming in. Again, we can't cover everything in this half an hour, but I really appreciate you coming in, being real, and being transparent, and allowing space for the accountability, as well, in love. The accountability in love. And so I appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and continue on, but I'll hopefully see you at some point later today. And folks, more information is coming about the healing tour. Shout out to everybody there that has helped making that happen. And I agree with Thaddeus that and what you said yesterday about some level, because there's so much historical work context that has been traumatic for some, that I think, as the Congresswoman said, that if we don't address that, because Bishop Bragg, my old pastor, used to say, unaddressed issues have babies. And it'll come up. We'll get further for 2 years, and something unaddressed will come in and slow everything down. So
That's right.
I definitely I appreciate it. And you, as I said the other night, you really taught me the accountability and love. And so I appreciate you.
So grateful for you. So grateful for everyone taking part and tuning in, and a lot more to come. I'm looking forward to this healing tour and so much more.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor.
All right.
The team, my
See
best.
you all later.
I just wanted to allow the mayor to, because the mayor tagged me in the thing from yesterday. And when I tell you, my phone, I just thought and yes, Thaddeus, I've been tempted to respond, but nope, I'm behaving. I really appreciate Jack and the mayor coming in and spending that time today. Jack really addressing the sentiment around two Bostons, as well as the mayor, and naming that as well. And so we're going to continue that conversation in reference to moving and BAA support in the community again tomorrow with a member of the Java Cafe and Java fam, Rochelle Solomon from Black Girls Run, and also Suzanne Jones Walmsley from BAA. They'll be with us tomorrow at 9 a.m. I think that is it for announcements. Don't forget to save May 20th, just about 7 or 8 weeks away. We're having the Java with Jimmy, Joe Betancourt health fair that's taking place in Grove Hall. And then on June 21st, we are also having Java with Jimmy on the waterfront cookout. We're going to have a cookout, family fun activities. We're going to have a panel about the waterfront. So save those dates as well. Java with Jimmy, the women's edition after dark is coming. Heidi and Dr. Brandy are working on that. So hopefully we can pull that off late April, sometime in May, but that is coming. I think that's it for me for announcements. Let me just check back in the comments. April 15th. Thank you, Thaddeus. April 15th. Black Unicorn will be there. I got my shawl, Thaddeus, that I think I'm going to wear on air tomorrow with Rochelle. But that is taking place next Saturday, I believe, at the Reggie Lewis Track and Athletic Center. I went last year, and there's a ceremonial piece to this. Seeing all the Black folks from around the world that are running, and I mean, it is just, I just really felt amazing being among them last year. And so they asked me to come back and be a part. So I'm going to do that as well. And what will the weather be on April 15th? Not sure. I ain't looking in Farmer's Almanac, Quincy. But hopefully it will be nice. We'll be inside on the 15th. I know there's one Boston Day activities, but consider coming to check out the Black Unicorn event. Rochelle is going to share more about that tomorrow. And I think that is it for me. She's our friend. No, yours awesome. No, you're awesome. Thank you, sister. Love you. That's it for me, everyone. We will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. with Rochelle Solomon from Black Girls Run, and also Suzanne Jones Walmsley from Boston Athletic Association. And I think that is it. Have a great day, everybody, and we'll see you again tomorrow at 9 a.m.